Hello again, everyone, and thank you for those of you who've stayed with us. It's been a long day already, and we've had some really fantastic presentations. And this one I think is really particularly interesting because it is a very novel approach to creating stretchable electronics, also suited for implantable electronics. This work is by Wise. I don't know if you guys have a new name, wiseneuro.com.
No,
But
Wise is still the name of the company.
yeah. So Wise SRL, and yeah, I'm delighted to leave the stage to Sandro and Sandro Ferrari. As usual, ask your questions on the chat on the right-hand side. We will ask all the questions live. Don't be shy. Interact. And Sandro, 2 minutes before the end of your presentation, I will come up to give you a heads up. So now the
Okay.
stage is yours, and you can start.
Okay. Thank you for everyone that is attending, and thank you, Kasia, for this kind introduction and to TechBlink to providing me the opportunity to present my company. So what you see in the initial image is actually an electrode that is used for neuromodulation or neuromonitoring, which is pretty much at the end of the story, or at least at the end of the story up to date. But the okay. Actually, the beginning of the story is dates back nearly 10 years ago, and all started in a university laboratory. And the people that actually started this company are not people active in the medical device industry, but rather in a physics laboratory or in a material science laboratory, where this very interesting technology was developed and actually came up as a mistake, experimental mistake that gave rise to this wonderful technology. So the technology itself is based on a method where nanoparticles are generated into a plasma source, a pulsed plasma source, and they are then shoot into a vacuum chamber at supersonic velocity against a substrate. So the nanoparticles have sufficient kinetic energy to be implanted in polymers. And so the results of shooting those nanoparticles into a polymeric substrate is what you see here. Basically, it was proven that they can penetrate a few hundred of nanometers into the polymeric materials. And when we keep shooting with this source, we start just spreading around some nanoparticles. They tend to coalesce until they they saturate and they create continuous conductive patterns. And then if the nanoparticles are made of conductive materials, we end up with conductive tracks. Those conductive tracks, metal conductive tracks, are the result, therefore, of nanocomposite materials that, if the polymeric substrate turns to be a stretchable substrate, such as an elastomer, for example, silicone, the result is the possibility to create patterns of conductive patterns on silicon that are fully stretchable. This is a very old image. It still dates back to the early experiments we were doing with those conductive tracks, and with this LED, you can see how it is possible to stretch without losing the connectivity. Of course, there are nowadays several techniques to create conductive patterns that are stretchable. So these has some peculiar characteristics. Well, this is again a demonstration of stretchability. This is a